Sara's Kitchen, and there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Check this.
Welcome one and all to the DL debate. Thanks so much for tuning in now on Highland Radio. We're back via the podcast. This is your weekly GA wrap up, and this weekend we're wrapping up the Ulster club and all the excitement from the weekend's action, including St Eunans, who qualified for the Hurling Junior Championship final in Ulster. Downlands unfortunately crashed out in the double header in the football on Sunday, but Naomh Conaill, joy for Naomh Conaill, the late show from them indeed. We're going to discuss that, their victory over Gowna, in the company of Donegal news reporter Daire. Daire, welcome to the show. John Gildea is on the line as well. Daire Boner in the house to give us the lowdown on Naomh Conaill. John, good to hear from you. The club scene, of course, kicking into Ulster. Later on in the show, we're going to hear from Micheal McMullen of the Gaelic Life. He's going to wrap up the rest of the Ulster action. I can't actually read my own writing here. That's some bit of scribbling there from me. He's going to wrap up the rest of the Ulster club action for us, and he's also going to discuss his book with us. Book Daire, The Game of My Life, of course, centred around the victorious 93 All-Ireland winning team, and 25 years around that and all the history that's coming. Looking forward to that. But as I say, first we're going to get straight into it. And John, how was the heart after yesterday? You know, we love this 2 points down late goal thing. We don't see it that much more now because teams are so well set and players are back and they're defensively solid. But John, from a half-time position where you look completely in control, you know, you were crashing out of Ulster club. What a phenomenal finish to the game.
Yeah, no, listen, it's great when you come out the right side of those games, and then it's obviously, if you flip it around to the other side and looked at it from a Gowna perspective, it's absolutely gut-wrenching. I know Naomh Conaill last year had similar type experience, so we know both ends of the spectrum at this point in time. But no, it was nerve-wracking stuff.
Did you deserve that rub of the green after last year, John, against Carrigan? Because it was a similar type scenario, I suppose, in terms of, you know, it was snatched from you. I know it went down to the pen was in, but it certainly was maybe something that wee bit of luck you deserved.
Well, listen, I think you make your own luck on a lot of things, and the other side of the equation is you don't always get what you deserve. So, you know, while there seems to be kind of a correspondence to last year, maybe a bit of, you know, we got the rub of the green, so therefore the balance book has been balanced out. But it wasn't even that. I felt that from a performance perspective, it was poor. From a Naomh Conaill perspective, I thought we were relatively good in the first half. I didn't think that Gowna caused us any major problems, didn't get in behind us, kicked a couple of nice scores. I thought we left a lot of scores behind us. I think in the first half, I think we might have left 2-3, 2-4 behind us. We hit the post, and then Leo scored an opportunistic goal just before half time, which gave us a 4-point lead. And really, from that perspective, given the way the first half had gone, you thought we were going to cruise control, and then we would see the game out. Because, you know, I felt that even up until Leo's goal, we were the better side. We probably, as I said, we should have scored more. And it was a very uncharacteristic, like, Naomh Conaill performance in the sense that we were much more wasteful than we had been all year. The team had been very clinical, and I know there was a wind and the ball was slippy and the ground was greasy, and that plays into this time of year as well. But and then when it came down to it, Gowna, you know, they're county champions. They're defending county champions in Cavan for a reason. They're a big, strong, physical side. I thought they gave us a lot of bother around the park in lots of positions, just from a sheer physicality point of view. Some big men, and they just decided they were going to throw the kitchen sink at it. They had nothing to lose. They had a lot of pride, and ultimately at the end of the game, they will feel hard done by, because if, you know, it's normally the team that wins the second half is the team that wins the game, and Gowna were the better side in the second half, and that's been realistic and honest about it. Yeah,
agree. There, you know, we talk about finals throwing up scenarios. You know, Ulster club, of course, is going to throw up. Now, Naomh Conaill away from home. Now, it's a county ground, but still, it's a ground that Gowna are going to know very well, no more than Naomh Conaill playing at McMullen Park. You know, they went into the game as favourites. As John was saying there, in that first half, you know, Naomh Conaill left a lot of scores behind them, controlled the game. I thought as the half wore on that you could see that tactical counter-attack that they were drawn in. Gowna were trying to tackle them all over the pitch. The gaps was at the other end. As John said there, they began to shut off the post. But at half time, I know John said 4 points, but I mean, it was double scores. In a low scoring game, that 4 points was a huge lead. And at half time, were you thinking that, as John was saying there, Naomh Conaill were just going to continue what they did in the second half? I think that's what everybody, certainly from the Donegal side, thought would be happening in the second half.
Yeah, Brendan looked just like a trademark Naomh Conaill performance, really. Like they chipped away a couple of scores. That Leo McMullen goal was brilliant. Now it was lovely.
It was.
Lovely
he had very little to put that on. There was some funny. It was real deft, like you know.
Considering the chances they had missed earlier in the game too, as like to echo what John has already said. I mean, they left a lot of scores behind them, and Charlie McGuinness probably had his head in his hands for about 10-15 seconds after he missed that chance as well. But yeah, coming into half time, you just thought it's Naomh Conaill. They're not going to let this slip now. And the first 15 minutes of the second half, they just couldn't find themselves. I don't know what it was, whether it was complacency, but I don't think it's not like them to have complacency. Do you think they expected,
just like the rest of us, that even if Gowna got a patch, that they would score and they would just keep ticking? You know, even if they brought it back to 2, they would get it back to 3. No, they bring it back to 3. Is that the mindset, I suppose? And that can be dangerous because, you know, people are saying to me about how you say Gowna played, but Gowna are a damn good team, a lot of good players. They kicked a couple of phenomenal scores last night. You've got to take that into consideration, you know, around the ability that Gowna had.
Yeah, I think even their first 2 or maybe 3 scores in the game were, apart from the free kick, the easy free kick. Now the couple of ones they scored in the first half were brilliant. They were still wasteful at the same time now, and probably kicked some harder scores than they could than the ones they missed. But I think Naomh Conaill, just as you're saying, like they could let them have a couple points, and Naomh Conaill would always get them back. But then just when Gowna went direct for that one ball in, just got through, it's kind of rocked Naomh Conaill a wee bit for a second, I think. And then I suppose they did what champions do well and got back into it when they were 2 points down with that ball in from Anthony Thompson. Yeah,
and you got to respect that, John. You know, as Daire saying there, do what champions do. You know, it didn't look likely now towards the end of that match, as you say, John. Is it a good thing in many ways now, John, I suppose, in terms of being a coach and Martin Regan saying, right, here's what we did right in the first half. That second half performance is not going to be Glen. It's not going to take us where we need to go. So is it a bit of a reset in terms of the second half, the way you look at it, manage a game in the second half?
Yeah, listen, it's an ideal way to go into a game against Glen because they'll be totally written off, which is ideal from their perspective. So, you know, that type of situation is ideal as long as you come out the right side of it. But the problem and listen, we've had this down through the years as well. They play a very particular style of football. They don't blow teams away generally. Teams always have a chance at pipping them somewhere along the line. And the goal was relatively easy when you think about it. They got through down the left-hand side very easy. They got inside the cover very easy, and then the ball across the stair was palmed down easily. So very uncharacteristic. You know, it's a hard one, you know, because, listen, they won the county championship. Ulster's always very, very difficult because you're playing teams in exactly the same position as you, in the sense that confidence is high. You're county champions. In Gowna's case, they were defending county champions. Very good side, a lot of very, very good players. So you can get away with that to a certain extent because maybe in Donegal, Naomh Conaill have an aura about them in the sense that, when they go 4 points up, you may forget about it, the game's over. Whereas Gowna didn't come with that baggage. Gowna had come back a number of games throughout the year, just like Naomh Conaill had. So they were never out of the game, even though maybe from a Donegal perspective, we were looking and going, okay, well, this is typical Naomh Conaill. But Gowna didn't read the script. They have no exposure to Naomh Conaill from that perspective. So they just went at it, and they were going to go out with their boots on, and ultimately they very nearly pulled it off. And it was, listen, let's be honest, it was complete good fortune. I heard Martin Regan said that 1 in 10, you know, that'll only work 1 in 10 times. I can assure you, I played a lot of games. You know, it works a lot less than 1 in 10. Yeah. And, you know, they came out the right side of it. But as I said, you won a county championship. There's a couple of days on the beer. There's refocusing, et cetera, and maybe, you know, it needed something like that now to refocus the mind again. And maybe that game, hopefully, if we look back at it in 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks' time, and maybe they've gone much further, maybe that'll be seen as a pivotal point. Because as we all know, if you're going to be successful in any sport, And any tournament and any event, you need a little bit of luck at the right time. And up until now, Naomh Conaill didn't need luck because they were just, this year they've been better than everybody else. I don't think anybody can deny that. And they needed a little bit of luck on Sunday that deserted them last year, and they got it this year. And hopefully that'll spur them on and everybody will knuckle down, because I thought overall it was an underperformance by a lot of our key men. Now, is that an underperformance because we underperformed, or is it an underperformance because Gowna did a really good job on us and made it very difficult for us to perform? So I suppose that'll only come to, light in the coming weeks when we play Glen and see exactly where we're at.
And John, listen, I know your time's a bit tight tonight. I'm just going through another question. As you said, they were always amazed that somebody scored a goal against Naomh Conaill, which is credit to how they play the game in terms of shutting out the vital scores that a goal is. But Gowna at half time, John, they were wobbling, they were a bit devoid going forward, I thought, and then their defence was wide open because they were getting sucked into the trap. Were you impressed now with how they came out in the second half? Because your man Keeney there, the manager, he's invited into the senior ranks there. Sorry, I'm throwing it to the other game there. Sorry, John, but I was just saying about the Dermot McCabe. Sorry, I'm flipping between the two games here. That's a big day yesterday. McCabe and the backroom team, John, around how Gowna came out in that second half in terms of not, they looked like that was the start of the game again. Maybe you're saying in Donegal it was too easy for Naomh Conaill, because when Gowna came out in that second half, you would have thought Naomh Conaill were going to control the game. They just went at it harder again. I think that maybe surprised Naomh Conaill. Maybe again they're not used to it because they've had it their own way. And again, but I'm saying, John, that's a big learning thing, as we're doing in Ulster all the time. Gowna were just kept going at it in terms of attacking Naomh Conaill all over the pitch. And you'd have to say their fitness did look, they were amazingly fit. The running just kept coming and coming. That's what resulted in the goal, which was the big score in that second half.
Yeah, I think it's twofold. And this will go back to the age-old debate. Like, they don't play the style of football we play in Donegal. They don't play that kind of style of football in Cavan. Like, if you look at the county final, like it was a goal fest. They're much more swashbuckling style of play in Cavan than there is in Donegal. And because of that, teams are afraid to go at Glenties or Naomh Conaill, because Naomh Conaill will do what they did to Gowna in the first half. They'll turn the ball over, they'll strip you, they'll go down the field. And let's be honest, some of the scores that Naomh Conaill hit in the first half were exceptional, like A.J. Gallagher's, where the cornerback, the fullback, and the other cornerback turned the ball over and ran the length of the park for A.J. to kick it over the bar. So clubs in Donegal are used to Naomh Conaill doing that, and therefore there's an apprehension. Gowna didn't have that baggage. They they knew that Naomh Conaill played defensive. Surely they would have learned from the first half that if you go into contact, they'll turn over. But they reverted back to the way they played in the county final. They just went, we'll go at it and we'll tear into it, and with no fear. And ultimately, they nearly got out the right side. I felt there was a lack of intensity, particularly in that middle third of the game, or in the second half, where we just couldn't get our hands on the ball. Every break ran away from us. I also thought there was, and again, I'm not going to go down the Declan Bonner school of thought for from Northern Ireland referees, but I thought there was a couple of decisions at crucial times that maybe could have gone away. Brendan McDaire, for example, went through down the wing on the left hand side, was hauled back and then jumped on, and the referee would play on. And things like that will turn the game. And what happened is Gowna got momentum. Their tails were up. They're at home. The crowd got into it. They scored a goal. All of a sudden, everybody's under pressure. Now, to flip that the other side, Naomh Conaill did amazingly well then to weather the storm, because the game could have ran away from them. Gowna could have kicked 5 scores and all of a sudden you're gone out the gate. So what they did is they went back to basics again. They won a couple of balls around the middle. They kicked a score. They kept themselves in the game, and they left themselves in the game to give them the opportunity to steal it at the end, when maybe a lesser side would have rolled over and ran out the gate 5 or 6 points down, going, what happened? So they deserve credit from that perspective. But I know from all intents and purposes, management and players won't be happy with that performance. But that's a good way to be going into an Ulster semi-final, because you're still in the draw.
Yes, indeed. Some Naomh Conaill fans just saying they should have freshened things up. more in the second half. Big pitch, big playing pitch. Daire, John mentioned a couple of refereeing decisions there. There's one a few Gowna people weren't happy about, and that was the Leo McMullen foul at the end. Some people thought he might have overcarried there. So I suppose it depends what way you're looking at the scenario, because that was the free kick that obviously led to the goal situation.
Yeah, and sure, I think it was just before the free kick as well, the sideline ball where the referee threw it up. That was... There's a lot of Gowna ones shouting about that too. So I think both sets of fans were a bit unhappy with the referee now. But I don't think he didn't have a terrible game now. There was definitely some questionable calls in the first half for Naomh Conaill too, I thought, and then
you get the
last
feeling,
couple.
Daire, I'm just saying, you get the feeling, I thought, from the two games where refs are trying to let it go now as much as they can. And in doing that, then you're in a funny area of then was that he's trying to let it play and let it develop, that you're not giving away handy frees. But then everything has to be thought like that. And that's what John was talking about the mauling of a player. You know, he's probably let that go in the tackle previous, and then he's trying to weigh it up. It's a very difficult one in GA in the tackle. Yeah,
especially if you let things go early. And like, there's some teams, like, I mean, Naomh Conaill can be quite physical, and I mean that's the way they play, and it works well for them. But if you start letting that go, then you're going to have to keep letting it go, and it just makes referees a bit inconsistent coming towards the end of games. People are questioning why has that been let go, or why has that been given when it was let go 20 minutes previous. But I suppose just the way the referees are playing the game these days, I suppose. Yeah,
John, you're still with us?
Yeah.
John, November 26th then, venue to be confirmed against Glen. They had kind of a routine victory now against your friends there at Carrigan. Again, John, a team that'll keep ball, it'll be possession number one. Again, a very different obstacle compared with Gowna. But in terms of the weekend there, John, you've seen obviously Kilcoo, who many people thought were almost unbeatable at times. If we could mind them and Glen, people would think it was going to be Kilcoo Cross. It isn't. You know, it's Trillick Scottstown. So, John, listen, we talk about tactics. Like, it's going to come down to the smallest of margins between yourselves and Glen. Is that what the feeling is? You know, and there's going to be a lot of improvement from your guys.
No, absolutely, and you know, people have to be aware that Carrigan's played most of the game with 14 men. They had a man set off very early, and there was 4 points in it again. And I know Glen were in control, and Glen probably do what Naomh Conaill do in Donegal, in the sense that, you know, it's a 4-point comfortable victory, and you know, they were never really pressed that much. But again, they play a different type of style of football than Gowna would play. There'll be less swashbuckling, there'll be less random, you know, fullback finding himself in weird positions and stuff like that. So they're a much more structured outfit. They're very efficient. They're obviously a top-class team. They got beaten in an All-Ireland final. They're defending Ulster champions, so you have to give them the utmost respect. But I think Naomh Conaill will be looking forward to this. I heard Martin on another station saying, you know, they've always wanted to test themselves against the best. You know, Naomh Conaill have been in finals. They've played big games. They've won big games. They've lost big games. So it's not going to hold any fear for them. And if anything, it may be the perfect game for them just to challenge themselves and get really up to it again. Because as I said, I just felt they were off the pitch of the game. And again, I don't want to be disrespectful to Gowna. Maybe Gowna were the reason that they were off the pitch. They played that well and knocked them out of stride. But listen, it's going to be a great game. Naomh Conaill obviously going as underdogs, particularly after this performance, which I think suits them perfectly. And Glen are obviously favourites for Ulster again, and they're an exceptional team with exceptional talent. But you know, where's the game going to be? I think is it going to be in Omagh?
Yeah, they haven't decided yet, John. We're waiting on confirmation. Just could be so.
Yeah, probably be a neutral venue. But you know, listen, Naomh Conaill will always fancy their chances, and I think it'll be the same type of thing. Nobody's going to run away with this game. It's going to be a tight game, and it's going to be a tight game between two teams that are very comfortable in that type of situation. So, you know, it's going to be very interesting to see. And, you know, from a tactical perspective, it'll be interesting to see how Naomh Conaill set up. It's a great challenge for Martin, and I know they're really looking forward to it. Yeah,
excellent stuff, John. Just on that, before we leave Naomh Conaill, you know, the away from home, as I said, you know, they controlled the first half. And in many ways, there's a lot to be taken from that in the good of the game. Sure, you come back from. I think if you go through any championship normally, particularly the level of, I suppose, you know, talent that's in Ulster and sides in it, it's always you're going to need a wee bit of a bounce of a ball to come through. And this could be the catalyst. You know, they could come out and play the full match like they did in that first half, which would make them a very, very difficult prospect. So in many ways there is a good going into the next game, as we're saying, with things to find out and reset back at training and saying, lads, this wasn't good enough, let's lift it up, because in any given year you can create history, and there's no time like the present, and I'm sure them boys are thinking, listen, that team now seems to be at its real peak of its powers. So still a huge potential for them to beat Glen and get into the Ulster final. Yeah,
well, I think every manager would say there's no learning when you win comfortably, and obviously that was probably the perfect thing for Naomh Conaill to go through that first half. They were very comfortable. When you go into Ulster, you're going to expect every team you come up against to have a purple patch against you, and Gowna's did last a bit longer maybe in that second half. But yeah, like Martin Regan said, that Glen won't have any sleepless nights over them, but that's more than what Martin Regan would want, I'm sure, going into this game. He's not going to be wanting to go in thinking, oh yeah, we've had a good game against Gowna, we deserve to win. What do we do now for Glen? He'll know what exactly they need to do to improve their game. And like against Glen, I can't see it being too high scoring now, but that'll suit both teams, I suppose, going into it.
Perfect, yeah. After the match, we caught up with a very relieved Kevin McGilligan.
What was the feeling like after sticking the ball in the back of the net?
Some sort of euphoria now. I don't often get a goal and never got one as important as that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just right place, right time. Very lucky now. Yeah. Just happy that I got snuck it in somehow.
Yeah. Well, listen, there was a wall of players in front of you.
There's at least 7 or 8 there, and I'd say a few of my own men were nearly in front of me. I actually drop kicked it somehow. I don't know. I wouldn't drop kick ever in training or nothing. So I don't know what it was at. I just lucky.
Lucky, but listen, it meant so much to the players. And obviously to these supporters that were standing in the middle of here.
Yeah, I'm just glad I could repay the supporters for what they do for us, that I give something back to them and give them another day out at least.
Yeah. Well, listen, the second half performance, I know speaking to Martin, he wasn't happy with it. You guys never got going in the second half after leading before the break?
No, we'll be looking back on that now. We won't be happy at all. Now, Gowna got a good big press on us there and we couldn't deal with it at all for some reason. Usually we'd be comfortable with that and we'd get away a few passes, we'd get a wee run on it, but I suppose the slippy surface and that there maybe was against us today, but we'll look at that now in next 2 weeks and we'll work on it. Yeah,
because I said to Brendan Kilcoyne in commentary and we agreed on it, when you get to Ulster, at times it's not really about the performance, it's just getting the result.
Yeah, anything can happen. As you can see, I think Kilcoyne lost today as well. Anything can happen. All these teams, they don't really know that much about each other, and anything can happen on the day, like the matchups and everything. Anything can happen.
Yeah. Well, listen, you've got another day now to come. That's against Glen in a fortnight's time. It's good to measure yourself against the best. You're going up against the defending champions.
Exactly. There's no better place to be is up against the reigning champions. You'll know from there where you're at yourselves, and you might prove something to yourself if you get a good victory against them now. And we'll knuckle down now for 2 weeks, and we'll give that one hell of a rattle, hopefully.
Yeah, thanks very much, Oisin Kelly there, talking to a very relieved Kevin McGilligan. He's in the semi-final. Daire, Downings, the pre-show in this, we were going up a wee bit of hope for Downings. Weren't too sure now. A lot of people were fancying Ballyhaise. The game was over very quickly. Huge pressing on McClafferty and nets. He had a bit of an injury getting into the game, and it was really a masterclass from Ballyhaise. Running out 4. But they finished up 4-15 to 11. It was a tough watch then for Downings. Everything about Ballyhaise was operating on another level to Downings. Were you surprised by the control and how good Ballyhaise were?
I remember I was speaking to Kevin Gallagher last week, and he was talking about the physical size of Ballyhaise and how he knew that was going to be a problem, and I think you could see that nearly from the off in that game now. First 5 minutes there was 2 apiece. Paddy McAwee, 2 brilliant scores to be fair now, and it looked like it was going to be an absolutely amazing game. I think then Johnny McGrady missed a free and just Ballyhaise just took over then, and as you say, yeah, McClafferty's kicking couple were a bit disappointing early on, and then the goal was unfortunate too. I mean, if it could have bounced anywhere other than just right on top of him, and he just had to palm it down, and your man, I think it was Heaslip he was called, he just snuck in for the goal, and you just couldn't really see much else was going to happen after that. I think there was 6 points in it after 20 minutes, and then they got 2 goals in as many minutes after that, and I mean, it was game over before the 25th, 30th minute. Yeah, tough day for Downings. Listen, they're champions. They've come an awful long way. They did well in Division 1 this year, and
as did Ballyheason in the Cavan Division 1, and that's why we're thinking both teams might have some are similar. But listen, it was an absolute masterclass. But listen, Downers never give up. They plugged away, and when the dust settles, they're still champions. A team that's still in the mix in the hurling, St Eunans reached the Ulster Junior final against Castle Blaney, and an amazing game there. It went to penalties. We don't see football games too often going to penalties, but hurling in particular, because of the quick scoring and the high scoring nature, it's unusual. 21 each it finished, and then 5-4 on penalties. Eunans march on. What a game!
Yeah, Swatra there was that they played. That was it was an amazing game. I mean, Eunans were, I think it was 10-6 up at half time, and they, at that point I was down at it, and I kind of thought they were probably counting their luck that they were 4 points up at that point. Swatra had nearly double digits in wides in that first half, but Swatra came back so well, and I think they had 4 in a row to go a point up, and it looked like they were going to just push on from there. But credit to Eunans, they just kept coming back every time. Darren Maligi, I think he scored a 64th minute equaliser, and then an 82nd minute point to equalise as well, and to bring it to penalties. And again, then Cian Hennessy did brilliant, made 2 saves, and it was just a cracker. And they did so well to get back into that game, because I think they probably went in as underdogs as well against a good Swatcher side.
Yeah, Daire had a penalty too, did he?
Yeah, Daire had one now, and right in the bottom corner is brilliant now too.
Yeah, Sean McVeigh was at his best, boy, the veteran and the legend that he is. Sean McVeigh always seems so young to me because I'm older, if I call him a veteran. But Sean, that's what you are now. Man of the match, say fair play to you. Eunans march on. Great to see. The Dunlow ladies in an Ulster final next week. Listen, exciting time for them, and a club on the up and up. Dunlow and the ladies flying the flag through Ulster. Yeah,
and they've been brilliant. I've seen their 2 Ulster games so far, and both times they've had to dig very, very deep. Both times they've looked like they could have been like going out of it. The quarter final, they were a point down coming into added time, and they had only scored in the first minute of that second half, so it looked like they were never going to get a score. But they got one. Katie Wallace got a late one to equalise, and then they just pushed on in extra time. Were brilliant. I think they had at least 3 players sin-binned in that game as well over time. I think they might have been down to 13 at one point, and then going away to Ty Holland 2 weeks previous now, they were just brilliant in the first 40 minutes or so. They let Ty Holland get back into it, but it was a much more improved and experienced performance from them to see out the game that time. And going into the final now against Lavey, it's going to be hard to know. Lavey are the intermediate champions in Daire, but they're a lower grade, so I think they've only been going 2 years as well. They won the junior last year and they've won the intermediate now, so they're definitely flying anyway, the Daire champions. So it should be a brilliant game, but Tony Boyle's girls have been amazing the whole year, so it should be good.
Some pedigree there. My hero Tony, who I got to play with, of course, and doing sterling work down there. That's phenomenal. Really looking forward to this now. That would be huge for Dunlow. And of course, I'm even talking to John McNulty last week, just saying, we need more clubs with better improving ladies teams to pull up, which will only help the county, and particularly at underage, and start to compete a bit more. So all that's good news.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, Dunlow have won almost everything around them this year, between, I think, for under 14s, 15s, 16s, minors, and then they got promoted and obviously won the junior, and they won Division 2 as well, I think it was. They've just been brilliant, and it's what the county needs. I think they put in a good setup to get all these girls playing at a young age, and then they brought in a brilliant management department, as you say, with Tony Boyle coming in there, Rob Worley as well. And yeah, if there was other clubs doing the same thing, we'd be talking about God knows what.
All Ireland. Yes. So you never know. We might get one yet. We've come close. Listen, Daire, thanks so much as ever for your contribution there. Daire Bonner of the Donegal News. Thank you, Daire, for wrapping that up. And of course, John Gildea was with us just previously. After the break, did I say I'm going to be joined by Michael McMullen to look across Ulster Club Championship and of course talk about his book. We'll get you after these.
The DL Debate with Sister Sara's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sara's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend. McMullen Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre or online at mcmullen.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. McMullen Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Hi, take a seat and I'll be right with you. Ma'am, I can't talk right now. Sorry, can you please hold?
Weight gain happens for many reasons in your 20s, but managing stress is one of the 4 habits that can help. Learn more at gov.ie/healthy weight, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Homeowners, it's time to unlock incredible savings on your energy bills. Efficient Renewables is here to reduce your energy consumption, say goodbye to skyrocketing costs and hello to renewable energy solutions. With no VAT on solar panels and the generous grants for both solar panels and heat pumps, see these innovative systems in action in our state-of-the-art showroom in Newton Cunningham today. Contact Efficient Renewables on 074 97 08320.
Hi, Kate Appleby here. Just wanted to let you all know my exciting new autumn shoe collection is available nationwide in all good shoe stores. kateappleby.com. Hope you enjoy my shoes.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Change is in the air when it comes to solid fuels. All coal products, wood products, biomass products and manufactured part biomass products are now subject to the new solid fuel regulations. All solid fuels must now comply with the new standards. This also means that smoky bituminous coal is no longer available from local retailers. These regulations were introduced on November 1st last year to protect our health and our environment. Recent EPA reports have estimated that around 1,300 people in Ireland die prematurely each year because of poor air quality. For more information, including frequently asked questions for the householder and retailers, please go to gov.ie/clean air or donegalcoco.ie. Donegal County Council, protecting your environment.
We're all going on holiday!
How would you like to go on the holiday of a lifetime? Then why not join us for the Highland Radio Hoolie in sunny Salou? Spend 7 nights in the sun with some of Ireland's top entertainers, including Robert Mazzell, Jim Devine, Margot, Claudia Buckley, and many more, with live music all day, every day. Staying in the beautiful 4-star Sol Costa Jurata Hotel, this is a trip not to be missed. Book now by calling Country Music Tours on 074 9119 955 or email info@countrymusictours.ie. We'll see you in sunny Salou.
Do you think about your legacy and what you want to leave behind? You know, I've had a great life. My childhood was filled with love and support. But not every child is that fortunate. Many face poverty and adversity on a daily basis. So I'm leaving Bernardo's Ireland a gift in my will, to pass on the chance of a brighter future to these children. Visit bernardos.ie/pass it on to get involved and make a difference.
Are you a self-assessed income taxpayer? Use Ross Revenue's online service to pay and file online by Wednesday, November 15th. If you are not yet registered for Ross, do so today at revenue.ie. Avoid a surcharge, interest, penalties and a possible tax audit. Don't miss the November 15th deadline. Pay and file on time.
An exciting range of Highland events and trips are at your fingertips, and booking a place is now easier than ever on The Outlet at highlandradio.com. The Outlet also has Highland Radio merchandise ready for purchase. Bingo players, order your books through The Outlet and have them delivered to your door. Currently, there's a great selection of concerts and shows to choose from, including Bryan Adams, Michael McIntyre, Sister Act, Wicked and Hamilton. There's also package deals for our concert nights or the ticket-only option, and get details of an amazing country music trip to Spain next September. All this and more by clicking on The Outlet now at highlandradio.com.
The DL Debate with Sister Sara's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sara's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Welcome back to the DL Debate. I'm now delighted to say I'm joined by Michael McMullen. How are you, Michael?
Not too bad, Brendan.
Or as your friends call you, Mal, so I'm going to call you Mal.
It's always good to have two names, isn't it?
Hey, listen, I know a few boys be at that, all right, for various reasons, but I'll not go into it. I could get labelled here. Here, Mal, tell me the crack now. Before we get into it, I'm fascinated about this book, Game of My Life, of course, centred around Daire's epic 1993 and the 25 years around it. Well, I was looking at the book and the contributors you have and the history that's involved in it. It's phenomenal. Mal, before we look at the book, Mal, it was another epic weekend, this Ulster Club Championship. I mean, I don't really pay much heed to the other provincial clubs, and maybe I'm being biased a bit, but is there anything like it?
It's a very special competition. I think the only disappointing thing about it, Brendan, is it's half over. It comes very quickly. We look forward to it, and you're down to the last 3 games of all the grades. And from my own point of view, I think I missed the 2 clinkers at the weekend, the Trillick and Crossing Glen game. There was a bit of decent football in the second half, and Glen and Carrigan, Glen were in control for much of it. But I was listening to Oisín and the boys talking about Kevin's late goal for Naomh Conaill, and obviously Kilcoo with Kilcoo and Scottstown with late drama. So you just need to know where the drama is and make sure you follow.
Yeah, that's a difficult one. I appreciate that, Michael, of where to go and what to do. There's something about Scottstown that you just don't know with them. They've got that in them, Michael. On any given day, they're not afraid of anybody. They're a wee bit like the Monaghan County team themselves. There's games that they'll lose that you think they should win, but then no matter who they play, there seems to be a disregard for the fact that, listen, Kilcoo are heading for a final with possibly Glen. That's where a lot of people were looking, but they had other ideas and begging. The very few players can do that. You think about skills of people around the country. Who can kick the point of beg and kick? Like, he's some man for one man.
It was a brilliant kick, Brendan. Like even the one that Kieran Hughes got before that, and we were watching it in the press box at Celtic Park, and whenever Kieran Hughes actually floated that one over, we thought sure extra time here, and next minute Began was standing over the kick. Like it was brilliant. You're talking there about Scottstown, like they should really think about winning Ulster clubs. Like the load of players they have at their disposal, add in the tradition that the club has, back through the years. But you did mention that, like a couple of weeks ago, I did think that Kilcoo were the team to beat. I watched their down final and their win over Donegal, and I thought they looked as good as ever they did. I haven't got a chance to watch yesterday's game with Scottstown apart from obviously the last 5 minutes, but it's obviously gone and they're left scratched in their heads. But from a Scottstown point of view, you're bound to be buzzing, and that's going to be some game of Trillick.
Yeah, listen, again, the Tyrone winners, no one knows what to expect. I mean, they're going to be good, but we just wonder, have they got the pedigree because of the history is against them in terms of Tyrone teams in Ulster compared with what you would expect from such a football mad county that no one can dominate it, so it affects them. But yet you have Trillick coming in there. I know, listen, we always think of Crossmaglen in terms of their history too, but they aren't at the power of that. But still, that was a game some people were maybe looking at Cross, and again, were they looking at the history? Because Trillick weren't having any of it, and they're a team, Mike, that just no one expected them to win Tyrone. They were underdogs in the last couple of games, and then here they are now in an Ulster semi-final, a game away from a final.
I did fancy them to beat Cross, to be honest.
You know more than me. You see, you're a proper GA analyst. You see, that's the difference.
You don't always get it right, so sometimes when you do, you have to just say that you do. But I did expect them to win. But the thing with Trillick, I think the problem with Tyrone clubs is that they don't get out 2 or 3 years in a row. Like if somebody gets out of a county 3 or 4 years in a row and they can't win Ulster, they can always go back and build, get a player back from injury, get a good lad out of minors and build on it. Whereas Tyrone teams, then you might not get out of Tyrone for 4 or 5 years, and all of a sudden maybe 2 of your best players have retired or moved away, and it's nearly like back to square one. That's what it seems like from the outside. Every so often you'll get a team that comes along and wins it first time, but I still think there's a building process there to win Ulster, because it is so difficult to win.
Yeah, well, I'm going to ask you who is going to win it then. How's that?
Well, I don't know.
Don't give me the political answer. Go, give me your gut. Give me your gut. You're going to go with Glen, aren't you? You have to.
My gut a few weeks ago was Kilcoo, to be honest with you. But now, I'm not so sure.
Yeah. Oh, listen, Mike, I get you because
the easy answer would be Brenton to say Glen because they won it last year. But I know Naomh Conaill will absolutely love a crack at them.
Yes,
and rightly so, because they don't fear anybody, Naomh Conaill. So I'm sure they'll be looking forward to that one.
Yeah, and listen, as I said, we were talking just previous to this. Didn't play well in the second half yesterday, but you won a game and you haven't really played. You snatch. In many ways, as I'm just thinking, as I'm talking to boys, Naomh Conaill did it so easy going through Donegal, to be honest, Mal. And they did it fairly easy in that first half, and this was the first time they probably faced the team playing the way Gowna did. So, I suppose you could allow that, and the respect that Gowna were a damn good side. I was really impressed with them. But listen, they came through, and I think it'll be much more tactical affair with Glen. It'll be keep ball, it'll play the percentages. It'll come down the wire. It'll be low scoring, but it'll be very intriguing. So we remain to see what happens. I was looking for you to tip them. You see, all the Naomh Conaill people will be loving that. But Mal, tell me this. I have enough trouble reading a book. How do you go about writing one? Could you tell me in the middle of everything else that you be doing?
I have no idea. 54 weeks of graft, Brendan.
Fair play to you.
I think the person who deserves the most credit is my wife, Pauline. She actually she made sure I went through with it whenever the idea came. And I think it was always keep at it. And you're nearly there with the statements that she kept giving me as it went along. But, you do need support. But if you're writing something that you're passionate about, it's a big help. And, to go into, the living rooms or cafes, or wherever you met these people, to 25 of the greatest players ever to play for Daire, it does help. And it's I suppose when you've read as many books as I might have had over the years, you always sort of think, will I ever write one? And thankfully the opportunity came. Liam Hayes gave me a buzz, and I thought, we'll go for this. But no, it was a very, very busy, but a very, very enjoyable year.
Yeah, it looks great. Man, I'm just looking at the cover of it. It really stands out, when you see that the history is there, obviously Downey and, Tohol, Paddy Bradley, that spread. Was it I suppose, did it give you a bit of luxury in terms of picking 25, that you could go through a few different eras there, if you like, and pick out the players? Because it would have been very difficult to tighten that down, I would imagine.
Very, very difficult. I actually says to Liam at the start, I says, who do you want me to interview? And he says, that's your department. So I had to go and sit down and draw up 25 names out of 50 or 60 years of Daire's history, which is very difficult in itself. But I tried to get it across as many ears as possible, and as different clubs and different, just different areas. And the thing about it is, it wasn't intentional that it was linked with the 30th anniversary of Daire winning in Ireland. But Liam did say to me at the time, he says, look, you're going to be doing a book here and things are going well in Daire. There's a good feel-good factor about it. And I know even from my own point of view, with Daire being close at the minute to challenging for Sam, from reading some of the chapters, you nearly were inspired by some of it, to be honest. And hopefully the readers will feel that. And, even I've said it on a couple of interviews, if even the Daire players themselves, as you take Damien Cassidy's chapter and get it laminated and read it every month, because I actually felt like buying the ball the next day and going out and playing. It was just, he was talking about how close Daire were and what they had to actually do to get there and just to keep knocking at the door. And it's maybe a wee bit the way things are at the moment. So, there's things like that through the book, Brendan, but it's not all about 93, because some of the boys who played in that era, they didn't actually pick a Daire game. Like Dermot Nicholl picked a McCrory Cup game. He was a very prominent player. Tony Scullion picked one from the international rules. And Kieran McKeever, for example, he actually found it very difficult to pick a game. He couldn't decide between Daire beating Meath in a National League final, the county's first game. Sorry, the county's first one at Croke Park in such a long time, before eventually settling on Dungiven winning the Ulster club. Something that he just, he keeps thinking about every day of his life. So there's so many different stories in there. But obviously the story of 93, 30 years on, there's a nice theme running through it. And maybe more special is there's a theme of Eamon Coleman going through the book. I often think if Eamon was alive and you're writing his chapter, which game would he have picked? But a lot of the players who would have played under him spoke so well about him, and you nearly feel as if you know him.
Yeah, and indeed, listen, you know, I remember meeting Eamon in 98. I mean, we'd lost the Ulster final to yourselves. We'll not go into that, but we were the Ulster All-Stars then. It was the first time I met him, and you know, for someone like me, I'd never played for Donegal before, not really underage. You were kind of thrust into this, but to meet him and all I'd heard about him, like he was such a different character. You know the way you break the mold kind of thing, and you could hear that from a lot of boys playing under him. And he goes to me, "I'm not going to tell you how good you are." That's what he said to me when I met him. And you know the way, well, there's only certain people when they speak to you, you'll never forget it. And Eamon was like that, you know. He was such his own man. And you spoke there about, you know, some of the passages there, no hair standing in the back of your neck stuff, motivational stuff. There's some real raw leaders, and it's just like in their DNA. And as you're taking that across there, it's affecting you there as a Daire man.
It is, and even, you know, conscious of the fact we've Donegal listeners on here, Brendan, and like a couple of players had spoke about, you know, the McAnuff and Coleman relationship, where they absolutely fought tooth and nail to get over each other, you know, on championship day. But I think it was Damien Barton had said to me that he met Brian McAnuff a couple of times, and whenever Donegal, whatever day would get past Donegal, that McAnuff would wholeheartedly want Daire to win the All-Ireland because he was a massive Ulster man. And you know, there was that sort of rivalry between the managers. I thought was also very special during it as well. Yeah, well, you listen, and not only McNuff, let's be honest, we were all supporting Daire in 93, you know. I know there was a big rivalry then, but it didn't get to the stage we have with rivalries now where teams probably, maybe a wee bit begrudging, they might admit it to people from that county, but they're certainly not supporting them. But I can remember back in 93, we were all shouting 100% for Daire. Yeah, and I think that's the way it should be. You know, like we all supported the Ulster teams, and a theme in the book is how much inspiration they took from, you know, the Down Donegal era of it all. Sorry, Mal, just lost you there a second. Mal, I was just looking there, thinking about what you were saying there about Ulster and McNuff and playing there and I played with Henry Downey, and I remember again coming in there and like thinking about it, I'm just a wee lad, basically. So Henry stands up and speaks in the dressing room, and just like you're saying there, I remember thinking to myself, wow, you know, look at that guy there. I mean, he asked me to do something, I'm doing it. And I kind of got to know him a wee bit then and around the nightclubs of Daire, but he bought them. I'm in the Browood bed there, Seamus. And top fella, hey, and he came down to play. I was looking after Eunans in 2012, Barla management team, and he came down and played a friendly there with Lavi, and he had some presence about him, Mal, and you'd have to say that, you know, guys that get a gain, they just don't come around too often, and it's almost, you know, it's like destiny, you know, that someone like him's going to lift the Sam, no more than our own Anthony Malloy or Michael Murphy. It just seemed like that was going to be what was going to happen, even though it's almost a once in a lifetime thing. It is. Like, that team was full of leaders, you know, and they actually spoke about, you know, just how quiet a leader Henry was. It was literally. Yes, you still there, Mel? Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah. Sorry. Line's just gone out and a small bit for me there. Mel, the book then, we can get the book all over. It's in all bookshops. Have you come in and infiltrated Donegal here? We're always supporting the Daire boys. I'm telling you, it's not really you we have the issue with, and I'll not tell you who it is. So we'll keep it all positive here. We've always I don't know why that is. Well, so there seems to be certain rivalries right around Ulster, and I know your own new manager. There's been a lot of furore about that there, but. Even though, like, going back to the 90s time, there was a Daire Donegal thing there. I never got. No, maybe I'm innocent to that. And even in 98, when we lost the final, there was no kind of animosity. You lost a football match, away you go. The animosity seemed to creep in as when there was more championship games and there was more teams playing each other, and familiarity breeding contempt, as we say. It probably is. As you say, you're maybe playing backdoor games and maybe twice in the same year, and that definitely. Yeah, indeed. Mal, we are going to almost out of time here. Joe Dexis, tell me to line up the music now. Mal, so listen, all good bookshops, stock and filler, great book to be read about
game of my life, picking the top 25 Daire players from your excellent experience of the game.
Yeah, it's in all local shops around the county, and David in the Letterkenny shopping centre will be stocking it as well for the people who want to read about 1993 and how the rain saved Donegal from a hammering.
Yeah. That's one way to put it. Well, we all remember it in our own ways. A game that should never be played.
Words, not my words. One of the players' words.
A wee bit of controversy can sell, Mal, I'll tell you. Listen, Mal, 100%. Thanks for wrapping that up, and good luck with the book. And sure, we might talk to you now as Ulster Club winds down and goes to the final.
Good luck on your big event on Friday week, Brenton.
Appreciate that, Mal. Thank you very much. Top man there, Micheal McMullen, indeed, there of the Gaelic Life. Good luck on him with his book. Also, Joe, I want to thank you for producing the show this evening, our guests that contributed. Stay tuned for the excellent Monday night sessions, and we are going to call the day for now. Jimmy and Paul are getting ready there. I'll speak to you on next week.
The DL debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny.